Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Behind the Plate Podcast, brought to you by 1IQ Sports. I'm Will. That's DJ. It's been a minute, and we ripped that intro like it was nothing.
Nothing. It's going smooth. We tried last week, so if it's been a while for the people that aren't watching, we're sorry. Okay.
Yeah, every time we try to do anything, my Wi-Fi just tends to give me the schlong. So.
But next year, we're getting you.
Next year, we're getting me real Wi-Fi. But
hey, smooth right now.
It's been a minute. The major news is that Bichette is back. Well, we assume. Apparently, he just hurt his finger. But he's back. And not only is he back, he's out here saying he wants to stay forever. DJ?
Yes. And what I was trying to say last week, which got picked up by a reporter, is this just a negotiation tactic to get him more money? A lot of people are speculating. I'm kind of speculating too. It's just the timing is weird. It gives us a bit of hope. And I seen Vladdy and Bo yesterday sign to each other. Like, I love you on the bases. That was nice. But it gives us something. But, like, what is it? What does it mean? You don't really know.
I know. And in his quote is that he was 100% committed to winning with the Toronto Blue Jays. So I want to see how committed is 100 committed when they don't give him the exact dollar figure he wants. Because he's going to want upwards of 250, and he's probably going to get 200 at the most from the Blue Jays. So let's see. When it's pennies on the dollar, is he 100% committed or not?
I don't know. Like I said what I said. I don't know if it's for sure that he wants to stay with Toronto. I mean, I hope so. But, like, it's such a weird little situation, because injury, and he's coming off the worst season of his career by far. So it's like, do you want to give him a contract that's like 10 years, 8 years, this big contract? It's like...
Yeah. Maybe you give him a bridge deal of like 5 years.
That's exactly what I was thinking. 4 or 5 years.
I say we have the offseason of a lifetime and lock them both up.
Think so?
Yes, sir.
And you're comfortable locking him up?
For 5 years? Yeah.
Yeah. 5 years.
I'd be comfortable locking him up for 8 years.
Really?
I mean, it's not like he's unproven. He led the league in hits 3 out of his first 5 years. He's a career 290 hitter. Like,
Right.
I don't want to say he's been there and done that, because he hasn't been there and done that. But, like, he has done it in the regular season.
Does the injury part not scare you? Like, being injury prone? Very.
It's his this was his first year with injuries since he got called up. Like, major injuries. Right. I know 2022 he had injuries, but they weren't like major injuries. Everyone's bound to have an injury at some point in their career, so that doesn't worry me. But, like, if this was year 3 in a row where he's playing, maybe at most 100 games, I'd be like, get the fuck out. But he's playing anywhere between 150 to 100 to all 162.
What if this lingers, though, for the like, it's just like, it's a weird time to get injured. Obviously, it's hard to say, but 8 years is so risky.
Yeah.
Especially for how much we're going to give him. But, hey, if they sign him, I guess only time will tell, Kind of one of those things, like, you kind of have to risk it with a talent as big as him, because, like, we obviously know his ceiling. So
if they sign him, assuming it's not him over Vladdy, I don't think I'd ever have an issue with it, no matter the dollar amount or the length, because Rogers / Shapiro / Atkins wouldn't give a dollar amount that they aren't comfortable with based off of the rest of the team payroll. Like they wouldn't cap their team out on just Vladdy and Bo. So for the most part, like unless it's like a ridiculous amount where he's getting $300 million, I don't think I'd be that upset by it. Would I prefer like a trade? Maybe. But like I wouldn't be on Twitter going, I fucking can't believe we just locked up Bo Bichette. I'd be singing his praises.
Right.
Like everyone else would be.
Well, I don't think I'd be singing his praise. I would be like, okay, let's see what he's got. Hopefully he performs, but I would be like cautiously optimistic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just
'Cause,
don't
like,
want to hold
obviously,
1 year against him, you know?
right.
Like it doesn't feel right to hold one bad year against a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like we held 2023 against Vladdy's neck when it came to extension talks. And it wasn't even that bad of a year. Like Bo would kill for Vladdy's 2023 right now. So, like I'm not a huge fan of holding one bad year against a player that's had 4 good seasons.
I think for me, it's not so much the bad year. I know how talented he is. It's the injury that scares me too. Not only did he have a horrible year, it's the injury aspect too. I just hope it doesn't like spiral out of control. Like with those type of injuries, it kind of sometimes does. It's ruined players in the past, but obviously, too, it wasn't like he's playing at the end of the year, so that's a positive sign.
Yeah. And the only part of his injury that concerns me was it's the same leg.
Exactly.
That's the only bit, but like I don't like it doesn't concern me that much. It's not like we're talking about a 30-year-old guy here where it's like injuries like he's 25, I think. Like he's still a
25.
relatively young player that like an injury's an injury. Like this isn't like Carlos Correa fucked up leg situation or fucked up ankle where he's like in his 30s trying to get a $300 million contract.
I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, you do. Also, like another thing is like the Jays don't need to lock him up this offseason because he's guaranteed money next year. Whereas Vladdy is guaranteed money next year, but you don't know what it is because of arbitration. And I don't like bringing star players to arbitration. It screams wrong.
Right.
So Vladdy is the number one priority. And from all reports, it seems like the Jays are in agreement that Vladdy's number one priority. But like locking up Bo, even if it's not this offseason, say they go in next offseason, or like maybe they do it at the deadline, where they're like, hey, we didn't trade you. Somehow we're 20 games above 500. What do you say to this? And you just give him a dollar amount. His dollar amount, I'd say has fluctuated the most. It hasn't really. Vladdy's definitely has. Vladdy went from 350 to 200 back up to 350. Whereas for me, Bo, last year, if you were to given Bo a contract, he'd probably sit at that 250. Whereas this year, you're probably sitting at 200.
Right. I mean, yeah, like you said, we're not in a rush with Bo. I wouldn't even be opposed to like you said, the trade deadline. I think that works better for both parties. You get to see like a small sample size. Okay, is he back? Is he healthy? And for him, he can prove like, hey, this was a fluke. I could come back, hit over 300 before the All-Star break, or maybe even like 290, whatever. Just be back to what he was. and then both parties happy. I don't feel like it's necessarily a need to sign him at all. I feel like if anything, he's going to get traded before the. Well, okay, both could still happen, but I could see him getting traded before next season, if anything.
If the
So
Jays aren't going to sign him, I want him traded. Like, I don't want to lose
mhm.
a 26-year-old shortstop for nothing. Like,
Exactly.
those are the moves that you regret as a franchise.
Right.
Like, the
Exactly.
Astros lost Correa for nothing. Again, that was a little bit different. Like, he was 29, 28, 29. They lost him
Mm,
for nothing. And, like, they're now stuck with Jeremy Pena.
mm,
The Dodgers technically lost Seager for nothing. And then they tried to replace him for Turner, who they lost for nothing. And now there's like Mookie Betts was playing shortstop for them.
right. Right.
It's just losing a shortstop, especially such a young shortstop, and not getting anything in return is like so. Yeah,
Like losing Otani.
yeah. Like it's just you need to get something more than a compensation draft pick for him. You know, like you need to if you identify at the deadline like Bose basically told you guys to screw off, I'm not signing, out the
Mm,
fucking door he goes for
right.
anyone. You got to get something in return. But if Bo at
Right.
the say you're at the deadline and you're winning, and Bo's like, no, I want to stay here. Like I genuinely want to stay here. Then don't
Hmm.
you hammer out a deal. You lock him in a cage without food and water, and you're like, you're not leaving until you get this deal done.
Yeah, I agree. But at that point, it'll be, I think, easier for the two to come to a decision. And by the deadline, there's going to be a lot of answers for this team in all aspects. So I can't wait to see where we are because it's going to be way fucking different than it is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like next season is going to be crazy, man. Like
I
I
was
actually,
I was looking at the lineups now that Bo's back, and like
mm,
it's one guy, but like shit, the lineup it like feels deeper when you look at it. Like you're looking like
right.
a Springer, Bo, Vlad. Like first of all, I missed that 1, 2, 3, missed it,
Yeah.
but I won't miss it next year when
Right.
Springer's not leading off. And then you got
Right.
guys like Loperfido, Barger, Jimenez, even Schneider right now, who's up in his trade value very well. Thank you very much. Like just getting guys back in there. Kirk, like the lineup just feels deeper. And then you got to sit and you're like, well, Horwitz is there. Wagner's still hurt. Like he's got to come back. Varsho's going to be injured until next year. Like he's going to come back. There's two more guys in there. Arelvis still has to come up. He's hitting like I think it's 300 since coming off suspensions. All I've seen is just nuke home runs. So obviously, either he's still got bad balls or he's doing this all natural. But it's just seeing Bo in there just lengthens the lineup so much as like an outsider's view that it's just like
Hmm.
I don't know how you go into a season that you want to compete without him.
Right. Like you look at our lineup without him, and it's just like you look at Vladdy from an outsider's perspective, and that's just like not a lot of people know about these young guys. I do want to say something though. Spencer Horowitz, could he get some Rookie of the Year voting?
Oh, he's
I would
genuinely
like,
like I don't say this like as a biasly. He
right.
genuinely should finish top 3. He could win Rookie of the Year voting. He has probably
Yeah.
been one of the best rookies throughout the American League, not throughout baseball. Um,
Yeah.
but like he hasn't been here since day one. He doesn't play every day. He can't hit lefties. Like he's got knocks against him, but like
Defense.
yeah, he can't play defensively. Holy shit. But like
Yeah.
offensively, like some of the numbers he puts up is like tops amongst rookies. Like it's
Right.
shitting on Jackson Holiday. It's like, you know, making Wyatt Langford look a little silly.
Yeah.
Colton Cowser's like should be in there. Trying to think who
Mhm.
else is even a rookie. Is Riley Green still a rookie, or was he last year?
I think he was last year.
last year. I'm just trying to think. Like, I don't really. There's not a lot
But
of rookie
yeah, it's
talent
not
this year, so
exactly American League. I feel like sneakily, like he's very mature, right? I think against lefties, he's not as good, not even close. He might be like a little bit of a platoon, but righties and like just the way he takes at bats and he could just get on base power, he's shown some fucking pop too. Like he has his moments and like I don't know. I think he's going under the radar for having a sneaky, really good. I don't know if you could call it season, but I'm gonna call it season because he's played enough to where it's like you should consider him
yeah.
for sure.
I know Austin Wells is in that conversation. I don't know what type of year he's having. I know Luis Heel is also in there, and he
Yeah.
was having an amazing year. But then he started kind of slowing down, like a lot of rookies do when they pitch.
Mm,
My only thing
yeah.
is like, what do you do with Horwitz next year? Because in my opinion, he can't play second base. Defensively, he is
No.
not there. And even first base, I question his capabilities there. So
Right.
that kind of limits him to one position, and that's DH. Unless you stick him in right
Yeah.
field, which I think you could get away with.
That's what I was
But
thinking.
it's just,
Like,
it's so difficult having a guy who hits like him, who's so young,
mhm,
who can't play defense.
right. And and usually when you're DHing somebody like that, their power is
Mm-hmm.
their top aspect of their game, or he's not a power first type of guy. He's a hitter. Like,
He's a Luis
he's the type
Arias.
of exactly contact. He'll bat 280, pop 20 home runs, maybe like 18. But
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a weird one because I really enjoy him. I was going to say right field. Um, Try something like Jose Bautista. They're obviously not comparable. He's still young, so he can like turn into something different. But
I'd sit him
he's
in like
definitely gonna
some
be on this team.
defensive camps in the offseason. Dude, like I'd send him in with like
Right,
those little leaguers. Like just learn the
right,
basics of just being defensively capable. Because if he's defensively
right.
capable, he could be an everyday second baseman. I don't know. Again, I don't really know if I want him hitting against lefties. I think
Yeah.
I'd prefer a platoon in like the dream world. If let's say Horwitz is playing first base, uh,
Mhm.
I'd have a platoon with Wagner and Martinez at second. I think Wagner gets the
Mhm.
righties, Martinez gets the lefties, something like that.
Right. Which is pretty standard in today's game. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't be too far to say that it's impossible. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. I think he's been really good. And just, he doesn't seem like a rookie to me, watching him. He
yeah.
just doesn't have that feel when he's at the plate.
I have one more question going back to Bo for you before we
Yeah,
move
no,
away
yeah.
from Bo before the offseason begins for him.
Hmm.
What was your likelihood before last week that like Bo and Vladdy stay together? Like, what percentage were you giving it?
Oh man, like 20,
Dude,
maybe like
I think
I thought
I
he
was
was
getting
low.
like 10%.
Yeah, I was thinking like 15, 20. I thought for sure he was gone, but maybe there was like the slight chance, the Blue Jays organization is just stubborn and they
Mm-hmm.
think they need him and for next year, which obviously he has the talent to help us next year. So there's still that chance. But before I thought he hated our organization. I thought he was done.
And then
Yeah.
Tuesday, you see him come back. All he's talking about is, I want to be here forever. I'm really grateful to be back. And you see him and Vladdy acting like little kids on the base path, smiling, laughing, telling each other they love each other. Has the
Right.
percentage gone up? Because it's gone up for me.
Yes, but I'm not completely sold. It's like 50-50. I think it's pretty split for me right now.
I said
'Cause
it
no.
anywhere between 45 to 55.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's fair because, like I said, this could easily be his agent being like, "Hey, you're making us look fucking bad here.
Yeah.
Like, the league is watching. Don't be that type of guy." And he might be stepping up, being like, "Oh, I want to be with Vladdy. I love this organization. I should have been more of a leader off the field, and now I'm going to stop. Like, I'm going to
Even
stop sulking." And
coming
I don't know.
into the year, though, like we were talking about Bichette as like the leader. Like
Mm,
I threw around the really cringy term that I hate in baseball, and that was captain,
right.
because
Yeah.
he was a leader. He is a leader, whether we think it or not, because he is, despite being like an adolescent child, he is still one of the most experienced guys on that team, along with Vladdy. That like we were throwing around leader and that term before with him. So
Hmm.
I don't know. This season has just been such a weird season where
Right.
for my sake, I'd just rather they lock them both up personally.
Right.
That way we don't ever have to discuss this again. Because this is like number 24 for podcasts or 25 for podcasts, which is like 10th, 15th this season. And we've talked about a Vladimir Bow extension in about 95% of our podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm so over it,
Yeah.
and I just want it done.
Yeah. Seriously. I agree in the sense like speculation is a killer though, and I don't want to look back and be like, oh my God, we didn't sign this guy and now he's tearing up the league. Vladdy's a must for me. He's like, you sign Vladdy, that's guaranteed. In my eyes, Vladdy's coming back. Like, I already bet someone $500 that he's coming back. Like, he's coming back.
Damn.
Nothing for me, by the way.
Oh,
I said, if he leaves, I'll give you $500. That's how confident I am. But Bo, I'm still on the fence.
50
So,
50.
yeah. At
Um,
least get us something. That's my thing. I will not be sad if he gets traded. Wouldn't be mad if we signed him long term.
if he gets traded, to me, it was just like, it wasn't the fact that the Jays couldn't sign him. It was the fact that he probably just said, hey, I think I'd just rather play elsewhere. And I'd be okay with that. It's
Right.
like you can't hold it against a guy for wanting to do that.
Yeah,
But we talked about
exactly.
the Bow extension, so we might as well talk about the Vladdy extension. In a tweet that I sent to DJ from Mr. Atkins to Alcatraz, who has just been ripping it up between all the other Blue Jay reporters and what they say, and whether it's the Fan, pregame, Blair and Barker, the god awful show, or whatever else. He has this quote from Shai Dafidi regarding the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension that says, I expect them to be proactive in October to see if they can get something done with him, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., before the market opens up in free agency, which, I mean, is just everything you want to read in one sentence. Basically, you see it and you're like, shit. So the Jays, the second the season ends, the Jays are just going to lock Vladdy in a room and be like, hey, we're figuring this out.
I think best case. I think all of us Blue Jays fans think best case. We talked about it. We signed Vladdy with big numbers. You know, people see what we offered Otani last year, and obviously Rogers is not afraid to throw some money around. That opens the floodgates, in my opinion, and it starts us off the off season perfectly. Like, there's no better way to start the off season than signing
Vladimir
Vladdy.
Guerrero Jr. extension.
Yeah, max extension. That better than Christmas.
Yeah. Well, think if you get that going, who is one of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s best friends that's in the free agency market? Sorry, one of them is Teoscar Hernandez, Mr.
Right.
Seeds. You can just go up to him and be like, Vladdy's here for 25 years. Not obviously, like 13 years is the number that I keep landing on. You want to come for 5 or 4? Run it out with us, and we're going to work with a Bow extension. Then you bring back, then you have a 2, 3, 4 again for upwards of 4 years if Bo signs of Bo Vladdy Teo. Not to mention
nasty.
one of his other friends is a very unlikely option, but he is really good friends with Juan Soto.
Yeah.
And the Jays are expected to be one of the more aggressive teams in on Soto. With that being said, they won't get him because they're going to go up against the Yankees, the Mets, then the Phillies.
Right.
I don't think the Giants get him, like, personally.
No.
But, like, I think they can outbid the Mets, personally.
Right.
Well, I mean, they've done it before. They did it to get Springer. They quote-unquote outbid the Mets for Gausman, even though they offered less money. So, like, I think they can outbid the Mets. And honestly, if you're Juan Soto, after playing for the Yankees, would you want to, like, why would you want to just go play for the Mets? Like, wouldn't you rather, if you're going to play in New York, wouldn't you rather just play for the Yankees? Like, that's not even a shot against the Mets, but it's like, you go from playing with the Yankees to the Mets is like going from the Dodgers to the Angels.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you know, one holds just a little bit more history, and, like, you can walk around New York and be like, yeah, I'm a Yankee. And, like, you don't, you know, there's no, like, shame, but, like, it's not everyone goes, yeah, I'm a Met. Because it's just
Yeah. And not only, and even to boot, their rivalry, if you do that, you're fucking, you step on the wrong side of New York, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
so
he's not walking
for
that
me, it
line.
takes the Mets out. I always said, to me, the two candidates were always the Yankees and the Phillies, because he wants to stay on the East Coast, which is, like, one of the main reasons he, like that was, like, one of his things. Like, I just want to play on the East Coast. Right. So to me, there's only two teams that could splash the cash that are in, like, a World Series window right now, and it's the Yankees and the Phillies. And the Yankees are going to look at that fact that their lineup sucks mega dick without Soto, and they're going to give him so much money.
I'm gonna be honest, it sucks watching him do so good in New York, because I think this season he's having makes it, I'm 90% certain he's going back to New York. I mean, he's playing with the best player in the world. He plays in a hitter-friendly ballpark. Like, some of his home runs and wouldn't have left anywhere else, I'm not gonna lie. But he's still a fucking, I don't know, top 5 player easily.
Yeah.
And New York is just a great place to play as a player. Just he's gonna get paid. So I don't know. It's going to take a lot for Juan Soto to leave this season. Maybe some drama. Maybe they shit the bed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I really don't see him leaving, Judge. I really don't.
No. Yankee players in New York are held like gods, whereas Mets players in New York are held like just your average folk. It's very different. The Yankees are such a historical franchise. But, like, if you were a Nationals fan, I'd be checking in on them if Juan Soto signed with the Phillies, because I'd be the third National to sign with the Phillies, and I'd probably be on suicide watch if I was a Nationals fan. Seeing Harper, then Turner, and then Soto all sign insane deals with the Phillies would just be enough to, like, poof.
Man.
You gonna add anything else after man? DJ? Are you there?
I'm back.
Dude, you just said man, and then you just started going. And I was like,
You
"Are
know
you
what I
gonna?"
think of?
I was like, "Are you gonna say anything else?" And you're just like, you just did nothing.
Bro, okay, so bro, you know it's funny. The only reason I do that, when you freeze up and do nothing, I remember being told like, if you can't hear anything in broadcasting, just fucking nod your head.
You're just like,
So I'm like, yes, yes,
and it was
yes,
like you could add
because maybe
anything
you're
after
saying something.
"man," and you're just like, "Oh,
That's so funny. Okay,
oh,
but going back to what you were saying,
oh,
the Phillies would undoubtedly win a championship with Soto. That team is nasty.
um, I do want to talk about playoff picture in a minute, but first I want to talk about AAA guys because we're about 2 weeks from the season, and we were kind of told that most likely we would see Jake Bloss for a couple starts. I refute that.
Mhm.
I don't actually want to see him right now anymore because there's no point in bringing him
Right.
up for one start. And also, he's got like a 6 ERA in AAA right now. Like he's getting shelled. And to me personally, this is his first professional year. I think like this is the most he's pitched in his life. Wind him down, turn him down. Don't
Right.
pitch him. I wouldn't pitch him again this season, especially now that Adam Macko's up in AAA. I just be like, yo, Mr. Bloss, you're done for the year. And honestly, I don't even know. Like last year, like I was 2 weeks ago, I was penciling him in into like the 2025 season as like a dude that could be there from day one. I don't think so anymore. Like he may be like 2026 unless he's like maybe he's in June and someone gets hurt. And they're like, well, shit. I wouldn't start him on the squad day one unless he had like a 0.4 ERA in spring training over like 20 innings.
Right.
So
Yeah, he's got to prove himself. But the good thing is, he's still very young.
yeah,
And we can let him like marinate, get better, but we don't have to rush him up our system.
yeah, like
There's
he's
no rush.
23. He's got time, and the last
Yeah,
thing you want is another Tommy John injury to a pitching prospect.
exactly. And 6 ERA, like he's gonna come up and get fucking shit on.
Yeah, he was having some really good games, and then I haven't looked fully at the numbers. Like I don't know if maybe his velo's down, maybe he's not locating. Is it fatigue? It's probably fatigue, but like I
Right.
can't say for sure because I don't know. But like it's just he hasn't been solid for the most part, and I'd like that to change.
Yeah, I think we all would. It's been hard to keep track with the AAA team with no social media.
Yeah,
So,
well, I just use the minor league app and just kind of go from there.
huh,
Yeah,
I should probably. I don't know if that would have counted or
no.
not, but I guess it don't
Um,
matter anymore.
Also, I want to talk about Mr. Unhittable,
Yes, I wanted to
untouchable,
talk to.
Bowden Francis, dog.
He gave up. He gave up a nuke today.
Yeah, I assume he gave up a hit today, but he has now held 2 no-hitters into the 9th inning in the last 4 weeks. He's had 3 of his last 6 starts, excluding tonight's start, only accumulate 1 hit. He has thrown
Right.
3 one-hitters in his last 7 starts, if you include tonight. That's nuts. Like, what he is doing is what I imagine it was like watching Dave Stieb pitch during his prime. Like, he is just unfathomably
Yes.
good right now.
Right.
He is not just super hittable and unspecial. He is Mr. Untouchable. No one's touching him except for tonight.
I just want to put this out there. He just had a start, right? He went, and by the way, he looked way different tonight compared to like his last.
Down in velo too.
starts. Right. But I think velo's not even a big thing with him. I think he's just locating and he can mix up his pitches a lot better. I think he was using his curveball too much early in the year and they've been switching it up. And
his splitter is fucking nasty.
Yeah, exactly. So he looks like this isn't a fluke to me. Like a lot of his pitching is just like he's locating, they're pitching him well, they're calling for the right pitches at the right time, and he's just executing. Tonight was his worst start in like a month or so. I don't even know. Feels like forever. Maybe 7 starts.
Maybe his Philly start is questionable in there too.
Yeah. But let me just read you. He went 6 innings. He gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, and 2 earned runs. And it was Garcia hit a 2-run shot off of him in the 6th. So that's still a quality start. He's been fucking insane.
And what? He probably had 7 Ks. Okay.
Oh, I didn't even look.
And then his ERA coming into tonight was, I think, 3.50.
It's 3.47 now.
3.47.
And he had 6 Ks and 1 ball.
Off by 1. The only thing I'd like to see from him, just to work on, is just efficiency, pitch efficiency. I've noticed he's very similar to Kikuchi in that way, where he'll get a guy 0-2, and then next thing you know, it's 3-2, and it's been an 11 pitch at bat, and it's just like, it just kills your pitch count. So I'd like to see a bit more efficiency, but dude, he's walking himself in, not even as a number 5 next year, is like a 4 spot or 3 spot. He could be pitching over maybe a Bassett next year, which is nuts to say. I don't think it's insane to just say, if you don't sign anyone, obviously they're going to sign someone, but you could go Barrios, Gosman, you could argue Francis 3.
He's been nasty for almost a pretty big sample size. I think going back to what you said about the strikeouts, by the way, I just want to touch on that. He is at his best when he's pitching to contact. When he's those no-hitters, he wasn't striking out many. They were just doing nothing.
The Angels, he struck out 12.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. But I think he was in Boston. When he pitched in Boston, they were putting a lot in play.
Yeah.
He was just it was making it quick, so his pitch count wasn't as high. But he doesn't really have nasty, overpowering stuff. It's just he's I don't know. He reminds me of Mark Burley, who is just consistently just a really good pitcher with his location, pitch selection. I don't know.
I know his Mets almost no-hitter. He had 1 strikeout, 1 walk, but he had it was 2 hit by pitches.
Right. He had another today. He had a pitch.
Yeah, but so I'd like to see him work on that because that's not good. But just efficiency. There's a lot of 7, 8, 9 pitch at bats to guys who you just can't be doing that to.
Right.
So,
but beggars can't be choosers, right? So
no,
he's been great. We can't complain.
Yeah, I mean that's just when you're looking at a guy who was DFA'd. We're looking at you got to go to Mexico to figure this out over the winter. Maybe come back. Maybe you get a bullpen row to you're penciled into the rotation next year, and the only thing we're arguing about is efficiency. What a storybook year! Way to just trust your shit and let it eat.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, such a fucking pitching quote. I don't know how many times I've probably used that quote in where you just, I just trust my shit and let it go. He is such a pitcher.
Yeah.
So.
I don't, that quote's weird. You're a pitcher. You've been there before.
Yeah. It's just, it was such a pitcher's quote. I've probably said that thousands of times in my life. Where it's just I want to let my shit go today. I'm just going to ride that shit, trust it. It sounds
that's
so
kind of
gay, but
it's true though.
Yeah.
It hits the nail on that. You kind of just gotta throw shit at the fan. I I think pitching to contact is kind of smart in today's game, in my opinion. I might be stupid for saying that, but I think some of the best pitches in the league are just pitching to contact, but like just putting it in places you can't hit it because you still can locate in places where it's hard to put anything on the ball,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like, I
I
don't know,
think,
Chris Sale, man, he's nasty. Anything you put in play with Chris Sale right now, it's like a soft ground ball or like it's going to the outfield. He strikes out a ton of people too, don't get
yeah.
me wrong. But when you're pitching
I
that,
think
oh,
it depends on where you're trying to pitch to contact and to who. Like when you're
mm,
pitching up, I don't like it when pitchers pitch to contact when they're pitching up because everything you're taught from like the second you pick up a bat is elevate and celebrate. Like if it's high, let it ride, or let it fly. But if it's low, you let it go. So if you want to pitch to contact, you really have to be painting like the bottom of the zone and like the
which is
inside part of
hard.
the plate, or
It's hard to,
like flick a backdoor curveball or slider that doesn't get all the way into the zone. So they have to like flick their bat at it on like a 2-2 count or an 0-2 count, something like that.
yeah. It's easier said than done, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so beautiful watching like the pitch count just stays low. When the Blue Jays get dominated, it's like the pitch count like tonight. I don't even know who was starting.
Cody
I forgot.
Bradford.
Bro, he in the fifth inning, I think in the fourth inning, he had 28 pitches
Yeah.
and three of them were balls.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking insane.
It is. I don't really have much more Blue Jays to talk about. Do you have anything that you want to bring to the
No,
plate?
I think we're winding down the year. I think it's been I've been watching almost every game still. It's still enjoyable, even though we just lost 2-0, and that
2
was a
weeks left.
shitty game to watch.
2 weeks
Yeah,
left, baby.
yeah.
But we do have playoff teams
Mm,
rolling in. The Brewers just clinched the division. We are at that point of
right,
the year where I think we're going to talk a lot more just about the league than the Blue Jays,
right.
just because that's just kind of where we're at right now.
Mhm.
So I do want to ask you. I'm going to ask you this every week
Oh boy.
until probably after the division series. Who's your World Series pick right now? If you had to throw money on it,
Um, I just wait. Let me. I have like
this doesn't just include the teams that are in the playoff spots right now. Like you can throw in an Atlanta or a Detroit or a Seattle who are just like a game or two out.
no. I
Okay.
two teams that I would love to win, and I think for me, one of the more obvious choices, I guess you could say, is like the Phillies. I really just think they're nasty. I think they got a good roster, top to bottom. But I would love like the Diamondbacks have been fucking nasty as well since like the All Star break. They've been the team they were last year
Yeah.
in the playoffs. They've came back and they did this without having an MVP candidate for like most of the second half or some of the second half being Marte. He was out for like I don't know a month and a half, and they were still like running through everybody. So the Diamondbacks are a sleeper for me that could go all the way and win it,
So
which would be
you're throwing money down on one team? Is it the Diamondbacks then?
probably the Phillies.
Yeah,
Probably
I was in there. Phillies were preseason pick. They I've
Mhm.
ridden that since March,
Right.
and I ain't about to
Yeah.
get off the horse now. The one thing that
Yeah.
has impressed me more and makes me even more confident in that pick is like we know that team is built to win in October. It's the fact
Hmm.
that like they're now doing it in the regular season. You know, like they're doing it in the marathon instead of just the sprint.
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
last couple years, they're like fringe wild card team. I don't want to say fringe, like they weren't going to make the playoffs. Like you knew they were going to make the playoffs, but they're like 88 to like 92 win teams that have made it there. That like have to go into this wild card series, whereas they're dogging it on everyone in the regular season. Like Harper's starting to hit again. Bryson Stott's been a dude. Alec Boehm's been insane. Trey Turner's been a dude. Schwarber's been pretty sick. Castellanos has been all right. Like I'd like to see him be a little bit better. Josh Rojas in center is pretty sick too. He's been so good. And then their bullpen is pretty nuts. Like it's a really well-rounded team with a really nuts rotation. Like, you know, Nola, Wheeler, Ranger Suarez is disgusting. And I don't know, a team that was winning in October is now winning in the regular season. They feel like a team of destiny. So yeah, I'm rolling the Phillies. I think it's the team I'd like to see win the most.
Yeah. I think, like I said, there isn't much wrong with that team, like, at all. And even in places like you weren't sure, like, obviously they had some good starters. And like you were, oh yeah, they have overperformed their expectations immensely. Their bullpen.
Yeah.
I think when you have a team like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just agreeing.
What were
Like,
you gonna
yeah.
say?
No, I was just agreeing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when a team is so good, it rubs off on everybody, and the bullpen has shown it too. Like every part of that team, whether they win or lose, it's like, okay, when they lose, they were an off night or something because you have Bryce Harper, like Turner. Anyone can wake up and carry that team from like, I don't know, the pitching can carry, the bullpen can carry, the bats can carry. They're just, it's kind of gross sitting here and thinking about like neither of us haven't even batted an eye to the Dodgers
Yeah.
because
Oh, I know.
like
But like, I also
they're
felt real
fucking
Muto in that. But like, the Dodgers do the same song and dance every year for like the past 10 years. They have one of the best teams in the regular season. They stack up, and then they hit to October, and all the guys shit the bed. It's the Dodger way. Like you get in there, Kershaw gives
yeah
up 10 in the first. Bueller can't figure it out. Betts and Freeman are hitting like 20 points below like their weight. Like they don't do it. Like the lights are always bright in LA. They just get very bright during the playoffs, and a lot of those guys just get blinded by it.
right on paper.
On paper, though.
Obviously, the Dodgers could light up the world. Otani, like Freddie Freeman,
sick.
healthy. They're fucking nasty. They've dealt with a lot of pitching injuries this year.
Yeah.
So they're not really as deep as you'd expect.
They've also done a really, really good job at taking advantage of their division. Like the Braves were supposed to be the guys, and they aren't the guys. And they've done just a fantastic job at taking advantage of the Braves not being there, being able to beat up on them, while also beating up on the Marlins, the Nationals, and the Mets. Like, I don't know what their division record is, but I guarantee you it's nasty.
Right. Yeah. It's been impressive that even through the injuries this year, like they've stayed pretty par for the course. Same thing with Baltimore. I don't wanna like sleep on Baltimore.
Yeah.
Baltimore's pretty, but like they're a fucking really good team, and they've probably been plagued by the injury bug the worst out of all the contenders. And obviously they were one of the favorites too.
I had Baltimore and Philly in the World Series at the beginning of the
mine?
year.
Who did I have, Atlanta, or did I put Philly? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Damn,
but
didn't
like,
even write mine down.
I personally don't have the Orioles anymore in the World Series for the American League. I think,
Right.
I think it's the Guardians, low key.
Oh my god, that's so weird.
I know. It's just like the American League, first of all, is so mid this year. So mid. But like the Yankees are a very beatable team. Like the pitching hasn't been great. Their bullpen's not solid. Like they don't have a closer. And like every World Series team has 2 closers and they have none. And like also, if you just keep Soto and Judge off the base paths, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to beat them. It's just the task of keeping those 2 away and like off is so difficult. The Astros, I'm not really high on. I don't think their pitching's going to do much in the playoffs this year. If they do anything, it's because of their offense. Their pitching for me is just, it's not what it has been in years past.
I mean, they're just always there, though. They scare me in the sense like they could easily.
They're due to be a quick bounce here. I don't like the Twins. Just going to throw that one out there. I don't like Detroit if they make it. I don't like Seattle if they make it. I like Kansas City, but they're most likely going to play Baltimore, and I would take Baltimore over Kansas City 9 times out of 10.
That could be a sleeper, though. That could be a sleeper. We seen Baltimore last year.
Kansas City is either going to be because they're so young and not a lot of those guys have been there besides Salvi. They could either be so ignorant to the moment that they just skyrocket in there, or we could see them take the moment become too big for them like it was for the Orioles last year.
Right.
Whereas like Cleveland's just kind of checks all my boxes for a team that's going to win. They have the best pitching, in my opinion, they have the best starters, the best bullpen, and like they're banging on the lineup right now. Like that offense is mashing when it needs to. They check all my boxes. They play baseball, on all aspects.
Right. Sometimes in the playoffs, it's hard because you can have like a team that has no business being as good as they are carried on someone like Randy or Rosarena.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
so it's gonna be interesting.
The Diamondbacks, arguably last year, were that team for me. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of all I got for playoff stuff. I don't know if DJ has anything else. DJ, do you got anything else playoff picture, MLB, Blue Jay wise?
I think that's good. I'm glad we got something.
So
I am getting harassed. I'm getting harassed right now.
Well, thank you guys for watching the pod. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you guys are brand new to the channel, and we'll catch you all in the next episode. Peace out. Bye.